Your emotions can build your future. They can also destroy it. One angry response can damage a relationship. One fearful decision can cost an opportunity. One moment of self-doubt can stop years of progress. Most people spend their lives trying to control the world around them. The strongest people do something different. They learn to control themselves. Because when you can't control your emotions control you. And when your emotions control you, circumstances control you. This audiobook is about taking your power back. It's about remaining calm when others panic. Remaining focused when others get distracted. Remaining strong when others fall apart. Remember this throughout the entire journey. Calm is power. Control is strength. Discipline is freedom. Master your emotions before they master your life. Chapter 1. Stop reacting and start responding. Most people spend their entire lives reacting. They react to criticism. They react to bad news. They react to rejection. They react to delays. They react to mistakes. And then they wonder why they feel exhausted. They wonder why they feel stressed. They wonder why they feel out of control. But here's the truth. The event is rarely the problem. Your reaction is. That may be difficult to hear. But it's the truth. Two people can experience the same situation. One becomes angry. The other remains calm. One becomes discouraged. The other becomes determined. One gives up. The other grows stronger. Same event. Different response. That's the key. Most people believe that emotions happen to them. They believe they have no control. They believe anger appears. Fear just appears. Frustration appears. But that isn't entirely true. There is something between the event and the emotion. There is a space. A moment. A choice. And that choice changes everything. You have a choice. Always. Someone insults you. You have a choice. Someone disappoints you. You have a choice. Someone ignores you. You have a choice. Life doesn't always give you control over what happens. But it always gives you control over how you respond. That's the key. The problem is that most people never use that space. They never pause. They never think. They never reflect. They simply react. Instantly. Automatically. Emotion takes over. And when emotion takes over, intelligence leaves the room. Think about the biggest mistakes you've made. How many happened because you stopped and thought carefully? Very few. Most mistakes happen in moments of emotional reaction. A burst of anger. A moment of jealousy. A second of fear. A wave of insecurity. One emotional reaction can create consequences that last for years. One text message sent in anger. One decision was made in frustration. One argument that should never have happened. One opportunity was abandoned because of fear. The reaction takes seconds. The consequences can last a lifetime. That's why emotional control matters. Not because emotions are bad. Emotions are valuable. Emotions contain information. But emotions should never be in charge. Imagine you're driving a car. Your emotions belong in the vehicle. They can sit in the passenger seat. They can offer suggestions. But they should never hold the steering wheel. Unfortunately, that's exactly what most people allow. They hand control over to anger. They hand control over to anxiety. They hand control over to fear. And then they wonder why their lives keep crashing into walls. You cannot eliminate emotions. That isn't the goal. The goal is leadership. The goal is control. The goal is to become the person who decides what happens next. That's the key. Calm people are often misunderstood. People assume they don't feel much. People assume they're detached. People assume they're naturally different. They're not. They feel frustrated. They feel disappointment. They feel anger. They feel fear. The difference is simple. They don't obey those emotions. They observe them. They acknowledge them. Then they choose their response. That's what separates emotionally strong people from emotionally weak people. Not the absence of emotion. The presence of discipline. Think about a professional athlete. Think about a surgeon. Think about a firefighter. Think about a military leader. Do you think they never feel pressure? Of course they do. They simply refuse to let pressure control their actions. Because they understand something important. Feelings change. Consequences remain. Read that again. Feelings change. Consequences remain. The anger that feels overwhelming right now will eventually disappear. The fear that feels unbearable right now will eventually fade. The embarrassment you're carrying right now will eventually pass. But the decisions you make while controlled by those emotions can stay with you forever. That's why you must learn to pause. Pause first. Respond second. Simple. Powerful. Life-changing. Pause first. Respond second. The next time someone says something that upsets you, pause. The next time you receive bad news, pause. The next time anxiety starts racing through your mind, pause. The next time you feel the urge to prove yourself, defend yourself, or attack someone, pause. Not forever. Just for a moment. Just long enough to regain control. Because control returns when awareness returns. And awareness begins with a pause. Most people don't realize how much damage urgency creates. Everything feels immediate. Everything feels like it requires an instant response. Someone sends a message. You react. Someone criticizes you, you react. Someone disagrees with you. You react. But why? Who made that rule? Who decided every emotion deserves immediate action? Nobody. The strongest people understand something most people never learn. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you must act on it. That's freedom. That's emotional maturity. That's a strength. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need to defend yourself every time someone misunderstands you. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need the last word. Many battles are won by refusing to fight. Many problems disappear when you stop feeding them. Many conflicts end when you stop reacting. That's the key. A calm response has power. An emotional reaction gives power away. Think about that. When someone can trigger your emotions whenever they want, who is in control? Not you. They are. Every insult becomes a button. Every criticism becomes a weapon. Every disagreement becomes a threat. But the moment you choose your response, everything changes. Now you are in control. Now your emotions serve you instead of controlling you. Now your peace belongs to you. And peace is a skill. Not luck. Not personality. Not genetics. A skill. And like every skill, it improves through practice. One pause at a time. One response at a time. One choice at a time. You won't be perfect. Nobody is. You will still lose your temper sometimes. You will still react occasionally. You will still make mistakes. That's not failure. Failure is refusing to learn. Failure is repeating the same emotional habits year after year. Growth begins when awareness begins. Growth begins when you catch yourself. Growth begins when you say the following: wait. I don't need to react. I have a choice. And you do have a choice. Always. Maybe not over what happens. But always worry about what happens next. That is your power. That is your responsibility. That is your freedom. So starting today, make a new commitment. Refuse to be a prisoner of impulse. Refuse to be controlled by temporary emotions. Refuse to surrender your peace to every situation that appears. Become deliberate. Become aware. Become calm. Pause first. Respond second. Pause first. Respond second. Pause first. Respond second. Because the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your responses. And when you learn to control your responses, you begin to control your future. In the next chapter, we'll go even deeper. Because before you can master your emotions, you must stop fighting reality itself. You must learn how to accept what is without surrendering who you are. That's where true emotional strength begins. Chapter 2, Accept Reality Without Resistance. In the last chapter, you learned something powerful. Between what happens and how you respond, there is a choice. You have a choice. Always. But now we need to go deeper. Because there is another habit that destroys emotional control. A habit so common that most people don't even realize they're doing it. They fight reality. They argue with facts. They resist what already exists. And in doing so, they multiply their suffering. Let me explain. Pain is part of life. Disappointment is part of life. Failure is part of life. Loss is part of life. Nobody escapes these experiences. Nobody. But suffering often comes from something else. Not the event itself. The resistance to the event. That's the key. Imagine standing in the middle of a powerful river. The current is moving in one direction. Reality is moving in one direction. But instead of moving with it, you fight against it. You push. You struggle. You exhaust yourself. The river doesn't care. The river keeps moving. And eventually, you're tired. Not because the river defeated you. Because you fought something that was already happening. That's how many people live. They spend years fighting reality. Years. Sometimes decades. A relationship ends. They refuse to accept it. A mistake happens. They refuse to accept it. They lose an opportunity. They refuse to accept it. Life changes. They refuse to accept it. And every day they continue asking the same question. Why me? Why did this happen? Why now? Why this situation? Why this challenge? Why this loss? And while they're asking those questions, life keeps moving forward. The clock keeps ticking. The opportunity to grow keeps passing. Because they're trapped. Not by reality, but by resistance. That's the key. Now listen carefully. Acceptance is not surrender. Many people confuse the two. Acceptance does not mean you like what happened. Acceptance does not mean you approve of what happened. Acceptance does not mean you stop trying to improve things. Acceptance simply means acknowledging the truth. Nothing more. Nothing less. The situation is what it is. The event happened. The mistake occurred. The relationship ended. The challenge exists. That is reality. And reality does not change because you dislike it. Reality does not disappear because you complain about it. Reality does not negotiate. It simply is. The strongest people understand this. The weakest people fight it. Think about how much energy you've wasted wishing reality were different. Think about it honestly. How many hours? How many days? How many years? Wishing someone had treated you differently. Wishing an opportunity hadn't been lost. Wishing a mistake had never happened. Wishing life had been easier. Wishing circumstances were different. But wishing changes nothing. Action changes things. Clarity changes things. Acceptance changes things. Because acceptance allows movement. Resistance creates paralysis. Accept. Adapt. Advance. Remember those words. Accept. Adapt. Advance. Most people stay stuck because they never get past the first step. They never accept. Without acceptance, adaptation is impossible. Without adaptation, progress is impossible. Accept. Adapt. Advance. That's the formula. A storm arrives. You can complain about the storm. Or you can prepare for it. A setback occurs. You can resent the setback. Or you can learn from it. Someone rejects you. You can obsess over their decision. Or you can focus on your future. You have a choice. Always. Notice how often people waste energy fighting things they cannot control. The weather. The economy. Other people's opinions. Other people's decisions. Other people's behavior, other people's expectations. Things completely outside their influence. And yet they spend their days frustrated. Angry. Resentful. Exhausted. Why? Because they are investing emotional energy where they have no power. That's a losing game. Every single time. You cannot control what other people think. You cannot control what other people do. You cannot control every circumstance that enters your life. But you can control your response. You can control your attitude. You can control your effort. You can control your actions. Focus there. That's the key. Control what you can. Release what you cannot. Simple. Not easy. But simple. Many people make life harder than it needs to be. Because they refuse to let go. They replay old conversations. They replay old failures. They replay old betrayals. Again. And again. And again. Meanwhile, life is waiting. New opportunities are waiting. New growth is waiting. A better future is waiting. But they're staring into the rearview mirror. You cannot drive forward while looking backwards. Eventually, you crash. That's what happens emotionally. People become trapped by the past. Not because the past is holding them. Because they refuse to release it. That's the key. There comes a moment when you must stop asking why. And start asking, what now? What now? That question changes everything. Why did this happen? Leads to frustration. What now? Leads to action. Why me? Leads to self-pity. What now? Leads to growth. Why is life unfair? Leads to resentment. What now? Leads to progress. The future belongs to people who ask better questions. Not perfect questions. Better questions. Instead of asking why this happened, ask, what can I learn? What can I improve? What can I control? What action should I take next? Those questions create movement. Those questions create power. Those questions create results. You don't need their permission. You don't need the world's approval. You don't need reality to be fair before you start moving forward. You simply need clarity. And clarity begins with acceptance. Imagine a person lost in a forest. They refuse to admit they're lost. What happens? Nothing improves. Nothing changes. No solution appears. But the moment they accept reality, everything changes. Now they can make decisions. Now they can find a direction. Now they can move. Acceptance creates clarity. Clarity creates action. Action creates progress. That's the key. Accept. Adapt. Advance. Accept. Adapt. Advance. Accept. Adapt. Advance. The most emotionally strong people in the world understand something important. Life is not always fair. Life is not always predictable. Life is not always comfortable. But they don't waste time arguing with those facts. They work with reality, not against it. And because they work with reality, they move faster, grow faster, recover faster, succeed faster. Not because they avoid problems. Because they stop resisting them. A challenge appears. They accept it. Then they adapt. Then they advance. A setback appears. They accept it. Then they adapt. Then they advance. A loss appears. They accept it. Then they adapt. Then they advance. This becomes a way of life. A mindset. A habit. A source of strength. You have a choice. Always. You can spend years fighting reality. Or you can spend years building your future. You can spend years asking why. Or you can spend years asking what now. You can spend years resisting. Or you can spend years advancing. The choice is yours. And every day you make that choice. Whether you realize it or not. So starting today, stop arguing with reality. Stop wishing the past were different. Stop demanding that life follow your plan. Life doesn't owe you certainty. Life doesn't owe you comfort. Life doesn't owe you perfect conditions. What life gives you is opportunity. Opportunity to adapt. Opportunity to grow. Opportunity to become stronger than you were yesterday. Accept reality. See it clearly. Face it honestly. Then move. Accept. Adapt. Advance. Accept. Adapt. Advance. Accept. Adapt. Advance. Because emotional freedom begins the moment you stop fighting what is. And the moment you stop fighting reality, you finally gain the energy to transform it. In the next chapter, we'll explore the force that controls more emotions than most people realize. Your inner voice. A conversation is happening inside your mind every single day. Because if you want emotional control, you must first learn to control the words you repeatedly tell yourself. That's where we'll go next. Chapter 3, Control Your Inner Conversation. Right now, as you're listening to this chapter, there is a voice inside your head. A constant voice. A non-stop voice. A voice that speaks from the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep. Most people never question it. Most people never challenge it. Most people simply believe it. And that's where the problem begins. Because your emotions follow your thoughts. Read that again. Your emotions follow your thoughts. Not always instantly. Not always obviously. But consistently. The thoughts you repeat become the emotions you experience. The emotions you experience become the actions you take. The actions you take become the results you get. That's the key. Everything starts with the conversation happening inside your own mind. Think about it. Two people can experience the same event. One person sees an opportunity. The other sees disaster. One feels motivated. The other feels defeated. One grows stronger. The other grows weaker. Why? Because of the story they tell themselves. The event is the same. The interpretation is different. And interpretation creates emotion. That's why controlling your inner conversation is one of the most important skills you will ever develop. Whether you realize it or not, you're listening to yourself all day long. The question is simple. Are you listening to a leader? Or are you listening to a victim? Talk to yourself like a leader. Remember that phrase. Talk to yourself like a leader. Most people would never speak to a friend the way they speak to themselves. Never. Imagine your friend makes a mistake. Would you say, "You're a failure. You're hopeless. You'll never succeed. Everyone is better than you"? Of course not. You'd think that's cruel. You'd think that's destructive. You'd think that's ridiculous. Yet many people say those exact things to themselves every day. Then they wonder why they feel anxious. They wonder why they lack confidence. They wonder why they struggle emotionally. Because your mind is always listening. That's the key. Every thought is a suggestion. Every repeated thought becomes a belief. And every belief shapes your emotional world. If you constantly tell yourself you're not good enough, eventually you'll believe it. If you constantly tell yourself you're incapable, eventually you'll act like it. If you constantly tell yourself you're destined to fail, eventually you'll stop trying. The mind accepts repetition, whether the message is true or not. That's why you must become aware of what you're saying to yourself. Not occasionally. Daily. Moment by moment. Most emotional suffering is not caused by reality. It's caused by interpretation. A person doesn't answer your message. Immediately, the mind creates a story. They don't respect me. They don't like me. I must have done something wrong. Hours pass. Anxiety grows. Stress grows. Frustration grows. But what happened? Nothing. A story happened. An assumption happened. An interpretation happened. And that interpretation created the emotion. That's the key. Many people don't suffer from reality. They suffer from imagination. They create worst-case scenarios. They create disasters that haven't happened. They create problems that don't exist. Then they emotionally react to their own creations. Think about how often you've done this. Be honest. A small problem appears. And your mind immediately jumps to catastrophe. One setback becomes the end of the world. One mistake becomes proof of failure. One rejection becomes proof you're unworthy. One obstacle becomes proof you'll never succeed. This is called catastrophic thinking. And it destroys emotional control. Because catastrophic thinking convinces you that every challenge is bigger than it actually is. A small problem becomes a giant problem. A temporary difficulty becomes a permanent disaster. A moment becomes a lifetime. And suddenly you're overwhelmed. Not by reality. By exaggeration. That's the key. Strong people think differently. Not because they ignore problems. Because they evaluate problems objectively. They ask better questions. Instead of asking, what if everything goes wrong? They ask, what are the facts? Instead of asking, what if I fail? They ask, what can I learn? Instead of asking, why does this always happen to me? They ask, what can I do next? Notice the difference. One mindset creates helplessness. The other creates action. One mindset creates fear. The other creates progress. You have a choice. Always. You can believe every thought. Or you can examine every thought. That's a massive difference. Because not every thought deserves trust. Not every thought deserves attention. Not every thought deserves obedience. Sometimes your mind is wrong. Sometimes your fears are wrong. Sometimes your assumptions are wrong. Sometimes your emotions are built on faulty information. And if you never challenge your thinking, you become a prisoner of it. That's why emotionally strong people question themselves. Not out of insecurity. Out of wisdom. They ask, is this actually true? What evidence do I have? What facts support this conclusion? What facts contradict it? Those questions create clarity. And clarity creates emotional freedom. Talk to yourself like a leader. Leaders don't panic. Leaders assess. Leaders don't exaggerate. Leaders evaluate. Leaders don't surrender to fear. Leaders gather information. Then they decide. You must become the leader of your own mind. Because if you don't lead your thoughts will lead you. And they won't always lead you somewhere useful. Many people spend years trapped inside stories that aren't even true. Stories about being inadequate. Stories about being unlucky. Stories about being broken. Stories about being incapable. Stories about needing approval. Stories about needing permission. But listen carefully. You don't need their permission. You don't need everyone's approval. You don't need perfect confidence before taking action. You don't need certainty before moving forward. You simply need to stop believing every negative thought that enters your mind. That's the key. A thought is not a command. A thought is not a prophecy. A thought is not reality. A thought is simply a thought. Nothing more. Nothing less. The moment you understand this, everything begins to change. Now you can observe your thoughts instead of obeying them. Now you can question your assumptions instead of accepting them. Now you can challenge negativity instead of feeding it. This is emotional maturity. This is emotional strength. This is emotional freedom. Talk to yourself like a leader. Imagine you're facing a challenge. A difficult challenge. Your first thought may be fear. That's normal. Your first thought may be doubt. That's normal. Your first thought may be anxiety. That's normal. You cannot always control the first thought. But you can control the second thought. And the third. And the fourth. That's where your power lives. The first thought might say, I can't do this. The leader inside you responds, maybe it's difficult, but I can learn. The first thought says, what if I fail? The leader responds, what if I succeed? The first thought says, I'm not ready. The leader responds, I'll become ready through action. That's the difference. Same challenge. Different conversation. Different emotion. Different result. Your future depends on that difference. More than most people realize. Because every day you are programming yourself. Every thought is a vote. Every repetition strengthens a belief. Every belief shapes behavior. And behavior shapes destiny. That's why awareness matters. Pay attention to your inner voice. Listen carefully. Notice what you're repeatedly telling yourself. Notice where you're being unfair. Notice where you're exaggerating. Notice where you're assuming. Notice where you're creating suffering that doesn't need to exist. Then challenge it. Question it. Replace it. Upgrade it. Talk to yourself like a leader. Again and again. Day after day. Moment after moment. Because emotional control begins with mental control. And mental control begins with conscious thinking. You have a choice. Always. You can become the victim of your thoughts. Or the leader of them. You can repeat stories that weaken you. Or repeat stories that strengthen you. You can assume the worst. Or search for the truth. The choice belongs to you. And every day that choice shapes your emotional life. So starting today, watch your words. Watch your assumptions. Watch your inner dialogue. Because the voice inside your head becomes the quality of your life. Talk to yourself like a leader. Talk to yourself like a leader. Talk to yourself like a leader. That's the key. And in the next chapter, we're going to examine another critical truth. Because even when you improve your thinking, emotions can still deceive you. Feelings are real. But they are not always true. Learning that distinction may be one of the most powerful emotional skills you'll ever develop. Chapter 4. Separate feelings from facts. There is a mistake that destroys emotional control. A mistake millions of people make every day. A mistake so common that most people never notice it. They confuse feelings with facts. They feel something. Then they assume it must be true. They feel afraid. So they assume danger is everywhere. They feel insecure. So they assume they are inadequate. They feel rejected. So they assume they are unwanted. They feel anxious. So they assume disaster is coming. And that is where emotional suffering begins. Because feelings are real. But feelings are not always true. Read that again. Feelings are real. But feelings are not always true. That may be one of the most important lessons in this entire audiobook. Because many people spend years obeying emotions that are built on assumptions rather than facts. They feel something. Then they treat that feeling as evidence. But emotion is not evidence. Emotion is information. There is a difference. That's the key. Imagine you're watching a movie. A suspenseful scene appears. The music changes. The tension rises. Your heart beats faster. Your palms sweat. Your body reacts. You feel fear. But are you actually in danger? No. The feeling is real. The danger is not present. This happens in everyday life more often than you realize. Your mind creates a story. Your body responds. Then you mistake the response for reality. And suddenly you're living inside a problem that doesn't even exist. That's the key. Anxiety is one of the clearest examples. Anxiety often acts like a fortune teller. It constantly predicts disasters. It constantly warns of catastrophe. It constantly whispers, what if everything goes wrong? What if you fail? What if they reject you? What if you embarrass yourself? What if you lose everything? And for a moment, those thoughts feel convincing. Very convincing. Because anxiety is emotional. And emotions can feel incredibly real. But feeling convinced does not make something true. That's the key. Think about your own life. How many things have you worried about that never happened? How many sleepless nights were spent imagining disasters that never arrived? How many hours were wasted preparing for problems that never appeared? How many fears turned out to be illusions? Probably more than you realize. The human mind has an incredible ability to exaggerate risk. Especially when emotions take control. A small uncertainty becomes a major threat. A small setback becomes a catastrophe. A small mistake becomes proof of failure. The mind starts creating stories. Then it starts believing them. Then emotions intensify. And suddenly fiction feels like reality. This is why emotional control requires separation. You must separate feelings from facts. You must learn to ask a simple question. What do I know? What do I fear? Not what I imagine. Not what I assume. What do I actually know? That's the key. Strong people ask that question constantly. Weak thinking depends on assumptions. Strong thinking depends on evidence. Let's say someone doesn't return your message. Emotion immediately creates a story. They don't respect me. They're angry with me. They don't care. Maybe. Maybe not. What are the facts? The fact is simple. They haven't replied yet. That's all you know. Everything else is speculation. Everything else is an assumption. Everything else is emotional storytelling. Yet many people allow those stories to control their entire mood. One unanswered message ruins their day. One delayed response creates hours of anxiety. One misunderstanding creates unnecessary suffering. Not because of reality. Because of interpretation. That's the key. The mind loves certainty. Even false certainty. When information is missing, the brain often fills in the gaps. Unfortunately, it usually fills them with fear. Fear feels protective. Fear feels useful. Fear feels intelligent. But often fear is simply guessing. And guessing is not knowing. That's why emotional maturity requires discipline. You must stop accepting every emotional conclusion as truth. You must challenge it. Question it. Examine it. Test it. You have a choice. Always. You can believe the feeling. Or investigate the feeling. Those are not the same thing. A leader investigates. A victim assumes. Remember that. A leader investigates. A victim assumes. That's the key. Imagine you're standing in a courtroom. A claim is presented. Would a judge immediately declare it true without evidence? Of course not. Evidence matters. Proof matters. Facts matter. So why do people do the opposite inside their own minds? Why do they instantly accept every emotional accusation? Why do they immediately believe every fear? Why do they automatically trust every insecurity? No evidence. No investigation. No questioning. Just blind acceptance. And then they wonder why they're emotionally exhausted. You cannot build emotional strength this way. You must become more objective, more disciplined, more aware. You must learn to pause. You learned that in chapter 1. Pause first. Respond second. Now we're adding something new. Question first. Conclude second. Question first. Conclude second. Question first. Conclude second. That's the key. The strongest minds don't ignore emotions. They simply refuse to worship them. They listen. Then they evaluate. They feel fear. Then they ask, what evidence supports this fear? They feel rejection. Then they ask, what facts support this conclusion? They feel anxiety. Then they ask, is this prediction or reality? That process creates clarity. And clarity creates emotional stability. Feel it. Don't become it. Remember those words. Feel it. Don't become it. You can feel anxiety without becoming an anxious person. You can feel anger without becoming an angry person. You can feel disappointment without becoming defeated. You can feel fear without becoming fearful. The emotion is an experience, not an identity. Too many people confuse the two. They experience anxiety. Then they become anxious. They experience failure. Then they become failures. They experience rejection. Then they become rejected. No. The experience is not the identity. That's the key. You are not your emotions. You experience emotions. Big difference. A massive difference. Because the moment you separate yourself from the emotion, you regain power. Now you can observe it. Now you can analyze it. Now you can manage it. Now you can move through it. Instead of being consumed by it. Feel it. Don't become it. You don't need their permission. You don't need every person to approve of you. You don't need certainty before taking action. You don't need the absence of fear before moving forward. You simply need the ability to recognize that fear is not always fact. That's emotional freedom. Not eliminating emotions. Understanding them. Managing them. Questioning them. Using them wisely. The truth is simple. Your emotions can provide valuable information. But they are not always accurate maps. Sometimes they're correct. Sometimes they're distorted. Sometimes they're exaggerated. Sometimes they're completely wrong. That's why facts matter. Facts keep you grounded. Facts keep you focused. Facts keep you connected to reality. And reality is always stronger than imagination. The next time anxiety appears, ask, what do I actually know? The next time fear appears, ask, what evidence supports this? The next time insecurity appears, ask, am I reacting to facts or assumptions? Those questions can change your life. Because emotional mastery is not about suppressing feelings. It's about understanding them. It's about recognizing that feelings deserve attention. But they do not automatically deserve authority. That's the key. Feelings are real. But they are not always true. Anxiety predicts disasters that never happen. Fear often exaggerates danger. Insecurity often exaggerates weakness. And assumptions often create suffering where none needs to exist. So starting today, become a student of your emotions. Observe them. Respect them. But verify them. Never surrender your mind to assumptions. Never confuse feelings with facts. Never let temporary emotions become permanent conclusions. Feel it. Don't become it. Feel it. Don't become it. Feel it. Don't become it. Because emotional strength begins when you learn to separate what you feel from what is actually true. And once you master that skill, you become far harder to shake. In the next chapter, we'll take this even further. Because understanding emotions is one thing. Remaining calm when pressure arrives is another. And when life becomes difficult, your ability to stay calm under pressure will determine whether you break or become stronger. Chapter 5. Train yourself to stay calm under pressure. Sooner or later, pressure arrives. Not maybe. Not sometimes. Always. Pressure is part of life. Deadlines create pressure. Conflict creates pressure. Uncertainty creates pressure. Responsibility creates pressure. Unexpected problems create pressure. Pressure is unavoidable. The question is not whether pressure will come. The question is who you become when it does. That's the key. Most people believe pressure changes them. They believe pressure turns them into someone else. Pressure made me angry. Pressure made me panic. Pressure made me quit. Pressure made me fail. But pressure doesn't create character. Pressure reveals character. Pressure reveals habits. Pressure reveals preparation. Pressure reveals emotional patterns that already exist. That's the key. Imagine squeezing an orange. What comes out? Orange juice. Not because the squeeze created orange juice. Because it was already inside. Pressure works the same way. When life squeezes you, what's inside comes out. Anger. Fear. Panic. Frustration. Calmness. Focus. Discipline. Resilience. Whatever is inside eventually appears. Pressure reveals emotional habits. And that's why training matters. Because when pressure arrives, you don't rise to your intentions. You fall into your habits. Read that again. When pressure arrives, you don't rise to your intentions. You fall into your habits. That's why emotional control cannot be something you practice only when life is easy. It must become a daily discipline. A daily habit, a daily way of living. Calmness is not something you're born with. Calmness is something you build. Just like strength. Just like confidence. Just like discipline. Calmness is trained. That's the key. Many people think calm people are naturally different. They're not. They've simply practiced different habits. They've practiced slowing down. They've practiced controlling their breathing. They've practiced controlling their thoughts. They've practiced remaining steady when emotions try to take over. Over time, those practices become automatic. And automatic habits appear under pressure. This is why preparation matters. A firefighter doesn't wait until a fire starts to learn what to do. A pilot doesn't wait until turbulence begins to learn how to stay calm. An athlete doesn't wait until the championship game to learn discipline. Training happens before pressure arrives. The same must be true for you. Train now. Not later. Now. Because pressure is coming. And when it arrives, your preparation will determine your response. You have a choice. Always. Pressure may be unavoidable. Panic is not. Pressure may be unavoidable. Chaos is not. Pressure may be unavoidable. Emotional surrender is not. That's the key. One of the simplest tools for emotional control is breathing. Simple. Powerful. Often ignored. Most people breathe incorrectly when stressed. Their breathing becomes shallow. Fast. Erratic. The body interprets this as danger. The nervous system accelerates. The mind races. Emotions intensify. Everything becomes harder. But the opposite is also true. Slow breathing sends a different message. Slow breathing tells the body the following: you are safe. You are in control. There is no emergency. And the body responds accordingly. This isn't complicated. When stress appears, slow your breathing. When anxiety appears, slow your breathing. When frustration appears, slow your breathing. Slow the body. Then slow the mind. Slow mind, strong mind. Remember that phrase. Slow mind. Strong mind. Pressure wants speed. Pressure wants urgency. Pressure wants panic. Your job is the opposite. Slow down. Observe. Think. Respond deliberately. That's the key. Great performers understand this. Whether it's sports, business, leadership, medicine, military operations. The highest performers rarely move faster under pressure. They become more deliberate, more focused, more controlled. Watch elite performers closely. They appear calm while everyone else appears frantic. That's not luck. That's training. Years of training. Years of repetition. Years of emotional discipline. Because they understand something powerful. Speed without clarity creates mistakes. Emotion without control creates mistakes. Panic without awareness creates mistakes. The person who remains calm gains an advantage. Always. A calm mind sees what panic misses. A calm mind notices opportunities. A calm mind makes better decisions. A calm mind remains effective. That's why calmness is a competitive advantage. In every area of life. That's the key. You don't need their permission. You don't need the world's approval. You don't need perfect conditions before learning this skill. You simply need practice. Practice when traffic is frustrating. Practice when someone disagrees with you. Practice when plans change unexpectedly. Practice during small moments. Because small moments become training grounds. And training grounds create strength. Many people wait for a major crisis before working on emotional control. That's backwards. Train during ordinary moments. Then extraordinary moments become manageable. A person who cannot remain calm during a minor inconvenience will struggle during a major challenge. A person who masters small frustrations becomes stronger during larger storms. That's how emotional resilience is built. One moment at a time. One response at a time. One habit at a time. Pressure also reveals your self-talk. Remember chapter 3. Your inner conversation matters. Under pressure, negative thoughts become louder. The mind starts making predictions. This is too much. I can't handle this. Everything is falling apart. I'm losing control. The moment those thoughts appear, challenge them. Immediately. Replace them. Guide them. Lead them. Talk to yourself like a leader. Not a victim. Leaders don't deny pressure. They simply refuse to be ruled by it. They acknowledge reality. Then they act. That's the key. A mental reset can be incredibly powerful. When emotions start escalating, stop. Pause. Take one slow breath. Then ask yourself, what actually matters right now? Not tomorrow. Not next month. Not next year. Right now. What matters most? Often, you'll discover that your mind has been running far ahead of reality. The challenge isn't as large as you imagined. The situation isn't as catastrophic as it felt. The pressure isn't as overwhelming as you believed. A mental reset reconnects you to reality. And reality is usually more manageable than fear. Slow mind. Strong mind. Slow mind. Strong mind. Slow mind. Strong mind. Repeat that until it becomes automatic. Because pressure thrives on mental chaos. Calmness thrives on mental clarity. The strongest people don't eliminate pressure. They manage it. The strongest people don't avoid challenges. They train through them. The strongest people don't wait for confidence. They create confidence through repetition. Every time you remain calm under stress, you strengthen your emotional muscles. Every time you resist panic, you grow stronger. Every time you choose clarity over chaos, you build resilience. The growth may seem small. But small repetitions create massive change. That's the key. Think about a tree during a storm. The tree doesn't control the wind. The tree doesn't stop the storm. The tree simply develops stronger roots. Your emotional roots work the same way. You cannot control every challenge. You cannot control every difficulty. You cannot control every pressure-filled situation. But you can strengthen your roots. You can strengthen your mind. You can strengthen your response. And when your roots are strong, storms become survivable. Not easy. Survivable. That's emotional strength. That's resilience. That's what you're building. One day, pressure will arrive unexpectedly. A difficult phone call. A financial setback. A professional challenge. A personal disappointment. A moment that tests you. And when that moment comes, you'll discover whether you've been training. Not because you'll feel no emotion, but because you'll know what to do. You'll breathe. You'll pause. You'll focus. You'll think clearly. You'll respond deliberately. And that's when emotional mastery begins to appear. Not when life is easy. When life is difficult. You have a choice. Always. Pressure arrives. Then the choice appears. Panic or presence. Chaos or clarity. Reaction or response. Weakness or growth. The choice remains yours. So train now. Build the habit now. Strengthen your emotional foundation now. Because pressure is coming. And when it does, your habits will speak louder than your intentions. Slow mind. Strong mind. That's the lesson. That's the practice. That's the key. And in the next chapter, we'll confront another hidden source of emotional weakness. The need for approval. The exhausting habit of seeking validation from people who may never give it. Because true emotional strength begins when your self-worth no longer depends on someone else's opinion. Chapter 6. Stop seeking validation. Let me tell you something most people never realize. The moment you need someone else's approval to feel good about yourself, you give them power over your emotions. You hand them the keys. You hand them control. And from that moment forward, your happiness becomes dependent on something you cannot control. Their opinion. Their reaction. Their recognition. Their praise. And that's a dangerous way to live. Because people are inconsistent. People change. People are distracted. People have their own problems. The same person who praises you today may criticize you tomorrow. The same crowd that cheers for you can ignore you next week. The same people who support your dreams can suddenly disappear when things become difficult. That's reality. Yet millions of people spend their entire lives chasing validation. They want everyone to approve. Everyone has to understand. Everyone has to agree. Everyone admires them. But that day never comes. Because no matter what you do, somebody will disagree. Somebody will criticize. Somebody will judge. Somebody will misunderstand. That's not a problem. That's life. The problem is believing that their approval determines your worth. It doesn't. And the sooner you understand this, the stronger you become. Approval is optional. Say it again. Approval is optional. Most emotional suffering comes from one hidden belief. If they approve of me, then I'm valuable. If they like me, then I'm enough. If they recognize me, then I matter. But think about how dangerous that is. You're allowing strangers to determine how you feel about yourself. You're allowing other people to decide whether you deserve confidence. You're allowing outside opinions to control your inner state. And that's emotional dependence. Emotional dependence creates weakness. Because now your confidence can be taken away. A single criticism ruins your day. A negative comment destroys your mood. A rejection makes you question yourself. One person's opinion becomes more powerful than your own. That's the trap. And many people live inside it for decades. They become professional people pleasers. They say yes when they want to say no. They stay silent when they should speak. They hide their opinions. They suppress their goals. They abandon their dreams. Why? Because they're afraid someone won't approve. Because they're addicted to validation. But here's the truth. People-pleasing doesn't create respect. It destroys it. The more desperately you seek approval, the less people value you. Why? Because approval-seeking signals insecurity. It tells the world you don't trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, why should anyone else? That's the key. You must learn to trust your own judgment. You must learn to stand on your own feet. You must learn to respect yourself before expecting respect from others. Self-respect comes first. Recognition comes second. Most people reverse the order. They chase recognition, hoping it will create self-respect. It doesn't work. Because self-respect is built internally, not externally. Think about the strongest people you've ever met. The calmest people. The most confident people. The most emotionally stable people. Do they spend their days begging for approval? No. They know who they are. They know what they stand for. They know their values. And because of that, criticism doesn't destroy them. Praise doesn't control them. Their emotional state remains stable. That's real confidence. Real confidence is not thinking everyone likes you. Real confidence is being okay when they don't. There's a huge difference. One depends on the crowd. The other depends on character. And character lasts longer. Imagine two people. The first person feels confident only when others praise them. The second person feels confident because they trust themselves. Who is stronger? The answer is obvious. The second person. Because their confidence travels with them. It doesn't depend on circumstances. It doesn't depend on popularity. It doesn't depend on approval. That's emotional freedom. And emotional freedom is one of the greatest forms of power. Because once you stop needing permission, you start living differently. You speak more honestly. You act more boldly. You take more risks. You pursue bigger goals. You stop shrinking yourself. You stop hiding. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop waiting for someone else to validate your dreams. You don't need their permission. That's the key. You don't need their permission. Not to start. Not to improve. Not to change. Not to succeed. Many people waste years waiting for approval that never arrives. Waiting for family approval. Waiting for friends to understand. Waiting for coworkers to support them. Waiting for society to agree. Waiting. 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 Meanwhile, life keeps moving. Years pass. Opportunities disappear. Potential remains unrealized. Because they were waiting for permission. Don't make that mistake. You have a choice. You can spend your life waiting for approval. Or you can start building self-respect. You have a choice. And self-respect is built differently than most people think. It's not built through compliments. It's not built through attention. It's not built through followers. It's not built through applause. Self-respect is built through promises. Promises to yourself. And more importantly, keeping them. This is where real confidence comes from. Not what you say. Not what others say. What do you do? Every time you make a promise and keep it, trust grows. Every time you follow through, confidence grows. Every time you do what you said you would do, self-respect grows. The opposite is also true. Every broken promise weakens trust. Every excuse weakens confidence. Every act of self-betrayal damages self-respect. Think about it. If someone constantly lied to you, would you trust them? Probably not. So why do you expect yourself to feel confident when you constantly break promises to yourself? You tell yourself you'll wake up early. You don't. You tell yourself you'll exercise. You don't. You tell yourself you'll focus. You don't. Then you wonder why your confidence feels weak. Confidence isn't built by wishing. It's built on evidence. Evidence that you can rely on yourself. Evidence that your word means something. Evidence that you follow through. That's why discipline creates confidence. And that's why confidence grows when you keep promises to yourself. Not because the task is important. Because the identity is important. Every kept promise sends a message. I can trust myself. That's powerful. Very powerful. And once you trust yourself, something interesting happens. You stop caring so much about what others think. Because your own opinion starts carrying more weight. Your own standards become more important. Your own values become your compass. That's emotional maturity. Immature people constantly ask, what do they think? Emotionally strong people ask, what do I think? One question creates dependence. The other creates freedom. You have a choice. Always remember that. You have a choice. The next time someone criticizes you, you have a choice. The next time someone rejects you, you have a choice. The next time someone misunderstands you, you have a choice. You can surrender your emotional state. Or you can remain grounded. You can let their opinion define you. Or you can define yourself. You can seek approval. Or you can seek growth. Growth is always the better investment. Because growth stays. Approval disappears. Approval is temporary. Character is permanent. Approval fluctuates. Self-respect compounds. Approval is unstable. Self-respect is reliable. That's why approval is optional. Never forget that. Approval is optional. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You need to believe in yourself. You don't need everyone to support your vision. You need to support your vision. You don't need universal agreement. You need personal conviction. That's the key. And once you understand this, your emotional life changes. You stop chasing. You stop performing. You stop pretending. You stop seeking validation everywhere you go. Instead, you focus on becoming someone you respect. Someone who keeps promises, someone who acts with integrity. Someone who stands by their values. Someone who remains calm regardless of outside opinions. That person becomes powerful. Because that person can no longer be controlled. And emotional control begins with independence. The less approval you need, the stronger you become. The stronger you become, the calmer you become. The calmer you become, the freer you become. That's the path. That's the transformation. And it starts with one decision. Stop seeking validation. Start building self-respect. Approval is optional. Self-respect is essential. Remember that. Because in the next chapter, we're going even deeper. We're going to explore one of the most powerful emotional skills you can ever develop, learning to let go of what you cannot control. And that may be the ultimate key to lasting peace. Chapter 7, Let Go of What You Cannot Control. There is a battle that most people fight every day. And they lose it every day. Not because they are weak. Not because they are incapable. But because they are fighting the wrong battle. They are trying to control things that were never theirs to control. Other people's opinions. The future. The economy. The weather, the past. The outcome. The timing. The reactions of others. The decisions of others. The thoughts of others. And while they focus their energy there, they neglect the one thing they can control. Themselves. That is why they feel exhausted. That is why they feel anxious. That is why they feel overwhelmed. Because they are carrying a weight they were never meant to carry. The truth is simple. Most stress comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. Most frustration comes from resisting reality. Most anxiety comes from demanding certainty in an uncertain world. And that is a battle you will never win. You have a choice. You can spend your life fighting reality. Or you can learn to work with reality. That's the key. Control the controllable. Say it again. Control the controllable. Because emotional freedom begins the moment you understand this principle. You do not control everything. You never will. And you don't need to. Think about how much mental energy gets wasted every day. People worry about conversations that haven't happened. They worry about problems that don't exist. They worry about outcomes that may never occur. They imagine worst-case scenarios. They replay old mistakes. They obsess over what someone might think. Hour after hour. Day after day. Year after year. And what does it accomplish? Almost nothing. Because worry is often misplaced attention. That's one of the most important truths you'll ever learn. Worry feels productive. But most of the time, it isn't. Worry tricks you. It creates the illusion of action. The illusion of preparation. The illusion of control. But thinking about a problem endlessly is not the same as solving it. You can worry for 10 hours. Or take action for 10 minutes. Which one changes your life? The answer is obvious. Action. Always action. That's why emotionally strong people ask a different question. They don't ask, what if everything goes wrong? They ask, what can I do right now? That's the key. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Not someday. Right now. Because action lives in the present. Worry lives in the future. And the future is a place you cannot control. You have a choice. Every single day. You can feed your fears. Or you can feed your actions. Most people feed their fears. They rehearse disasters. They imagine rejection. They anticipate failure. They create suffering before anything has happened. Then they wonder why they feel anxious. Of course, they feel anxious. Their attention is pointed at things they cannot control. And attention is powerful. Where attention goes, emotion follows. Focus on chaos. Feel chaotic. Focus on uncertainty. Feel uncertain. Focus on problems. Feel overwhelmed. Focus on solutions. Feel empowered. That's the key. Your attention is your greatest asset. Protect it. Direct it. Use it wisely. Because whatever owns your attention eventually influences your emotions. Now let's talk about fear. Fear is natural. Fear is human. Fear is not the enemy. But most fears have something in common. They involve things outside your control. Think about it. Fear of rejection. You can't control another person's decision. Fear of failure. You can't fully control results. Fear of criticism. You can't control opinions. Fear of being misunderstood. You can't control interpretation. Fear of the future. You can't control tomorrow. Notice the pattern. The fear often exists because you're trying to control something you cannot control. And the harder you try, the more frustrated you become. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes. The solution is not more control. The solution is acceptance. Not passive acceptance. Not giving up. Not surrendering your goals. Acceptance of reality. Acceptance of uncertainty. Acceptance that some things are outside your authority. That's wisdom. And wisdom creates peace. Because once you accept reality, you stop wasting energy fighting it. Imagine you're planting a tree. You can control the seed. You can control the soil. You can control the watering. You can control the effort. But can you control the weather? No. Can you control exactly when it grows? No. Can you control every possible outcome? No. What happens if you obsess over those things? You suffer. What happens if you focus on your responsibilities instead? You grow. The lesson is simple. Focus on the process, not the outcome. Focus on effort, not guarantees. Focus on actions, not predictions. Control the controllable. That's the key. Many people delay happiness because they are attached to outcomes. They tell themselves, I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll be happy when they approve of me. I'll be happy when everything works out. But life doesn't work that way. Because outcomes are uncertain. And if your peace depends on certainty, you'll spend most of your life disappointed. Emotionally strong people understand something different. They find satisfaction in the process. They take pride in showing up. They value effort. They respect discipline. They focus on what they can do. Today. Right now. In this moment. That creates stability. Because effort is always available. The effort belongs to you. Action belongs to you. Discipline belongs to you. The character belongs to you. These are things nobody can take away. These are things you control. That's why they matter. You have a choice. You can obsess over the scoreboard. Or focus on the game. You can obsess over results. Or focus on performance. You can obsess over outcomes. Or focus on actions. One path creates anxiety. The other creates power. Choose wisely. Now let's talk about one of the hardest things in life. Letting go. Most people think letting go means losing. They think letting go means weakness. They think letting go means giving up. But often, letting go is the strongest thing you can do. Because sometimes the thing you're holding on to is what's hurting you. You're holding on to an old mistake. An old argument. An old regret. An old disappointment. An old expectation. And every day you carry it. Every day it drains you. Every day, it steals your energy. The past cannot be changed. Read that again. The past cannot be changed. Learn from it. Absolutely. Grow from it. Absolutely. But carry it forever. No. That's unnecessary suffering. Freedom begins with release. That's the lesson. Freedom begins with release. You release what no longer serves you. You release unrealistic expectations. You release impossible standards. You release the need for certainty. You release the need to control everyone and everything. And something amazing happens. You become lighter. You become calmer. You become stronger. Not because life became easier. Because you stopped fighting battles you cannot win. That's emotional maturity. Understanding the difference between influence and control. You can influence many things. You can influence relationships. You can influence opportunities. You can influence outcomes. But influence is not control. And confusing the two creates endless frustration. You do your best. You act with integrity. You put in the work. Then you release the rest. That's the key. Control the controllable. Every day. Every situation. Every challenge. Ask yourself one question. What is within my control? Not what should be. Not what could be. Not what I wish were. What is? Right now. Within my control. Your effort. Your attitude. Your preparation. Your choices. Your mindset. Your actions. Start there. Always start there. Because that's where your power lives. Not in the future. Not in other people. Not in circumstances. In your choices. Right now. Today. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You can cling. Or release. You can worry. Or act. You can resist reality. Or work with reality. You can waste energy. or invest energy. You can chase certainty, or build resilience. And resilience will always serve you better. Because resilient people don't need perfect conditions. They adapt. They adjust. They continue. They move forward. That's a strength. Real strength. Not controlling everything. Remaining steady when you can't. Control the controllable. Remember that phrase. Write it down. Repeat it. Live it. Because it has the power to transform your emotional life. When uncertainty appears, control the controllable. When fear appears, control the controllable. When stress appears, control the controllable. When setbacks appear, control the controllable. Again and again. Day after day. Year after year. That's how emotional stability is built. That's how freedom is built. And freedom begins the moment you stop demanding control over things that never belong to you. Here's the takeaway. Your peace is not found in controlling everything. Your peace is found in controlling yourself. That's the difference. That's the shift. That's the transformation. And in the next chapter, we're going to build on this foundation. Because once you've learned to let go of what you cannot control, the next step is learning how to develop emotional discipline every single day. Not once. Not occasionally. Every day. Because emotional mastery is never an event. It is a practice. Chapter 8, Build Emotional Discipline Daily. There is a reason most people never reach their potential. It is not because they lack talent. It is not because they lack intelligence. It is not because they lack opportunity. It is because they are controlled by their emotions. They work when they feel motivated. They stop when they feel tired. They push forward when they feel confident. They quit when they feel discouraged. Their actions rise and fall with their feelings. And that is a dangerous way to live. Because feelings change. Motivation changes. Energy changes. Moods change. But goals remain. Responsibilities remain. The work remains. And if your actions depend on how you feel, your progress will always be inconsistent. That is why emotional discipline matters. Discipline is emotional control in action. Read that again. Discipline is emotional control in action. Many people think discipline means punishment. They think discipline means suffering. They think discipline means forcing yourself to live a miserable life. They misunderstand it completely. Discipline is simply the ability to do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. That is all. Nothing more. Nothing less. And that skill changes everything. Because life will not always give you ideal conditions. You will not always feel motivated. You will not always feel inspired. You will not always feel confident. You will not always feel ready. But the people who succeed understand something important. They act anyway. That's the key. They act anyway. The average person waits for the right mood. The disciplined person creates results regardless of mood. One becomes a spectator. The other becomes a creator. You have a choice. Every single day. You have a choice. When the alarm clock rings. When the workout feels difficult. When the project feels overwhelming. When the goal feels far away. You have a choice. Listen to your emotions. Or follow your commitments. One path creates comfort. The other creates growth. And growth always requires emotional discipline. Think about how many dreams have died because someone didn't feel like continuing. How many businesses never started? How many books never got written? How many opportunities disappeared? How many goals remained unfinished? Not because people lacked ability. Because they lacked consistency. And consistency beats motivation. Every single time. Motivation is temporary. Consistency is reliable. Motivation is emotional. Consistency is behavioral. Motivation comes and goes. Consistency stays. That is why successful people do not depend on motivation. They depend on systems, habits, standards, routines, commitments. They understand something most people ignore. The mood is irrelevant. The action is what matters. That is the key. The mood is irrelevant. The action is what matters. You may not feel like exercising. Do it anyway. You may not feel like studying. Do it anyway. You may not feel like practicing. Do it anyway. You may not feel like improving. Do it anyway. Notice the pattern. The people who move forward are not emotionally different. They simply refuse to negotiate with every feeling. Most people negotiate. Their mind says, I'm tired. They stop. Their mind says, tomorrow will be better. They postpone. Their mind says, you deserve a break. They quit. Their emotions become their manager. And that manager is unreliable. Your emotions should provide information. They should not provide instructions. That's the key. Feelings are signals, not commands. Just because you feel tired doesn't mean you stop. Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean you retreat. Just because you feel uncertain doesn't mean you quit. Feel the emotion. Then choose your response. That is emotional discipline. Many people believe discipline begins with massive actions. It doesn't. Discipline begins with small choices. Tiny decisions. Simple moments. Ordinary actions repeated consistently. Small daily choices shape character. The person you become is not created by one dramatic event. It is created by thousands of ordinary decisions. Every day you are voting for the type of person you will become. Every action is a vote. Every habit is a vote. Every decision is a vote. You have a choice. You can vote for weakness. Or you can vote for strength. You can vote for excuses. Or you can vote for responsibility. You can vote for comfort. Or you can vote for growth. The choice seems small in the moment. But the results become enormous over time. That is how character is built. Not in a single day. Not in a single week. Day after day. Choice after choice. Action after action. That is why emotional discipline is so powerful. It compounds. One disciplined decision may seem insignificant. But hundreds of disciplined decisions create a completely different life. Most people underestimate this. They want immediate transformation. Immediate results. Immediate rewards. But real growth is quieter than that. Real growth often looks boring. Repetitive. Unremarkable. It looks like showing up. Again. And again. And again. Even when nobody is watching. Even when nobody is applauding. Even when nobody cares. You don't need their permission. You don't need external validation. You need consistency. That's the key. You need consistency. The strongest people in the world are not necessarily the most talented. They are often the most consistent. The athlete who trains every day. The entrepreneur who works every day. The writer who writes every day. The student who studies every day. The leader who improves every day. Not perfect. Consistent. There is a difference. Perfection is impossible. Consistency is achievable. Many people quit because they cannot be perfect. They miss one workout. Then abandon the entire routine. They miss one day. Then surrender the entire goal. That thinking creates failure. Emotional discipline says something different. It says, I made a mistake. Now continue. That is all. No drama. No self-pity. No excuses. Just continue. Because consistency is not about perfection. It is about returning. Again and again. You have a choice. Always remember that. You have a choice. A bad day does not require a bad week. A bad week does not require a bad month. A setback does not require surrender. One mistake does not define you. One failure does not define you. One difficult day does not define you. What defines you is what you do next. That is emotional discipline. Not avoiding mistakes. Recovering quickly. The disciplined person falls. Then gets back up. The undisciplined person falls. Then creates excuses. Big difference. And that difference changes everything. There will be days when progress feels invisible. Days when effort feels unrewarded. Days when improvement feels slow. Days when quitting feels easier. Those are the moments that matter most. Because anyone can continue when things are easy. Anyone can continue when they feel motivated. Anyone can continue when results are immediate. The real test comes when motivation disappears. The real test comes when emotions resist. The real test comes when the excitement fades. What will you do then? Will you stop? Or will you do it anyway? That question determines your future. Do it anyway. Make that your standard. Do it anyway. When fear appears, do it anyway. When doubt appears, do it anyway. When discomfort appears, do it anyway. When excuses appear, do it anyway. This phrase sounds simple, but it contains enormous power. Because every meaningful achievement requires it. Every transformation requires it. Every success story requires it. Nobody reaches greatness by obeying every emotion. Nobody develops strength by avoiding discomfort. Nobody builds confidence by quitting whenever things become difficult. Confidence comes after action. Strength comes after resistance. Growth comes after effort, not before. That is why waiting to feel ready is a mistake. Readiness often arrives after movement, not before it. You start. Then confidence grows. You begin. Then momentum builds. You act. Then belief follows. Most people reverse the process. They wait for belief before action. The disciplined person understands the truth. Action comes first. That is the key. Action comes first. The person you want to become already exists on the other side of consistent action. Not perfect action. Consistent action. Every day you delay, you postpone that version of yourself. Every day you act, you move closer. The distance is created by behavior. Nothing else. And emotional discipline closes that distance. One choice at a time. One action at a time. One day at a time. Remember this. Your future is not built during moments of inspiration. It is built during moments of resistance. When you don't feel like it. When nobody is watching. When quitting would be easy. Those moments reveal who you are becoming. And every time you choose discipline, you strengthen your character. Every time you choose action, you strengthen your confidence. Every time you choose consistency, you strengthen your future. Do it anyway. That is the lesson. That is the standard. That is emotional discipline. And in the next chapter, we're going to explore what happens when life becomes difficult despite your discipline. Because challenges are inevitable. Setbacks are inevitable. Failure is inevitable. The question is not whether adversity will arrive. The question is how you will respond when it does. And that is exactly what we'll learn next as we discover how to turn setbacks into strength. Chapter 9, Build Emotional Discipline Daily. Most people think discipline is about forcing yourself to do hard things. That's only part of the story. The deeper truth is this: discipline is emotional control in action. Think about that for a moment. Every day, your emotions tell you what to do. They tell you to sleep longer. They tell you to quit early. They tell you to avoid discomfort. They tell you to wait until tomorrow. They tell you to give up. And every day, you face a decision. Listen to your emotions. Or listen to your standards. That is the battle. Not once. Every day. Every hour. Sometimes every minute. The people who achieve extraordinary things are not necessarily more talented. They are not necessarily smarter. They are not necessarily luckier. They simply become better at winning this battle. They learn how to act despite how they feel. That is emotional discipline. That is the key. Many people spend their entire lives waiting to feel motivated. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect energy, the perfect circumstances, the perfect moment. But that moment never comes. Or if it does, it never stays. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation is temporary. Motivation is emotional. And emotions change constantly. Some mornings, you wake up feeling unstoppable. Other mornings, you wake up feeling exhausted. Some days you feel confident. Other days you feel uncertain. Some days you feel inspired. Other days, you feel discouraged. If your actions depend on your feelings, your progress will always be inconsistent. That is why consistency beats motivation. Every single time. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you moving. Motivation gets excited. Discipline gets results. Motivation talks. Discipline works. That is the difference. And that difference changes everything. Look at successful people. Not their highlights. Not their victories. Look at their routines. Look at what they do when they don't feel like doing it. That's where success is built. Not during moments of excitement. During moments of resistance. When nobody is watching. When nobody is applauding. When nobody is encouraging them. They show up anyway. They work anyway. They continue anyway. Why? Because they understand something most people never learn. Your future is shaped by your daily choices. Not your occasional efforts. Your daily choices. Small choices. Simple choices. Repeated choices. That's the key. Many people underestimate the power of small decisions. They think success comes from one massive breakthrough. One lucky opportunity. One perfect decision. But character is not built that way. Character is built one choice at a time. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you grow stronger. Every time you follow through, you grow stronger. Every time you do what needs to be done, regardless of mood, you grow stronger. The opposite is also true. Every time you quit because you don't feel like it, you weaken trust in yourself. Every time you break your word to yourself, you weaken confidence. Every time you surrender to comfort, you strengthen the habit of surrender. And habits become identity. Think about that carefully. Habits become identity. You are not what you say. You are not what you intend. You are what you repeatedly do. That is why emotional discipline matters. Because every decision is casting a vote. A vote for who you are becoming. A vote for strength. Or weakness. A vote for growth. Or stagnation. A vote for discipline. Or excuses. You have a choice. Always. That is the key. Imagine two people. Both have the same goal. Both want success. Both want confidence. Both want a better life. The first person acts when they feel motivated. The second person acts whether they feel motivated or not. Who wins? The second person. Every time. Because life rewards consistency. Not occasional intensity. Consistency. The gym rewards consistency. Business rewards consistency. Relationships reward consistency. Personal growth rewards consistency. Everything important rewards consistency. And consistency is impossible without emotional discipline. That's why you must stop negotiating with your emotions. Stop asking yourself if you feel like doing the work. Stop asking yourself if you're in the mood. Stop asking yourself if today is the right day. The answer doesn't matter. The task still needs to be done. That is emotional maturity. That is emotional strength. The phrase for this chapter is simple. Do it anyway. You feel tired. Do it anyway. You feel discouraged. Do it anyway. You feel afraid. Do it anyway. You feel uncertain. Do it anyway. You feel unmotivated. Do it anyway. Because feelings are temporary. But actions create results. That is the key. Now, let's be clear. Emotional discipline does not mean becoming a robot. It does not mean ignoring every emotion. It does not mean pretending emotions don't exist. It means refusing to let emotions make your decisions. There is a difference. A very important difference. You can acknowledge your feelings without obeying them. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can feel doubt and still take action. You can feel discomfort and still continue. You can feel resistance and still finish what you started. That is what disciplined people do. Not because it's easy. Because it's necessary. Most people want confidence before action. But confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence comes after action. You build confidence by proving to yourself that you can be trusted. You build confidence by keeping promises. You build confidence by following through. You build confidence by doing difficult things repeatedly. That is how self-respect grows. Not through positive thinking. Through positive action. Again and again. Day after day. Year after year. That is how emotional discipline transforms your life. And here's something else most people never realize. Discipline creates freedom. At first, that sounds backwards. People think discipline is restrictive. But look closer. The disciplined person has more freedom. They have more options. More opportunities. More control. More confidence. More stability. Why? Because they can rely on themselves. The undisciplined person cannot. The undisciplined person is controlled by moods. Controlled by distractions. Controlled by impulses. Controlled by temporary emotions. And whatever controls you limits you. That is why emotional discipline is freedom. Because the moment you gain control over yourself, you stop being controlled by every feeling that passes through your mind. You stop being a prisoner of emotion. You become a leader of yourself. That is the goal. Not perfection. Leadership. Self-leadership. And self-leadership begins with one question. What needs to be done? Not what I feel like doing. What needs to be done? The answer to that question should guide your actions. Not your emotions. Not your excuses. Not your fears. What needs to be done? Do that. Then do it again tomorrow. And the next day. And the next day. That is how discipline compounds. Slowly. Quietly. Powerfully. Many people quit because results take time. They expect immediate rewards. Immediate transformation. Immediate success. But growth doesn't work that way. The strongest oak tree began as a small seed. The strongest athlete began as a beginner. The most disciplined person once struggled too. Progress takes time. Trust the process. Trust the repetition. Trust the daily effort. Because every day of discipline is building something. Even when you cannot see it. Every workout. Every study session. Every difficult conversation. Every promise kept. Every act of self-control. It's all adding up. You may not see the results today. You may not see them tomorrow. But they are coming. That is the power of consistency. And consistency beats motivation. Always. Remember that. When motivation disappears. When excitement fades. When progress feels slow. Remember, do it anyway. When comfort calls. Do it anyway. When excuses appear. Do it anyway. When doubt gets louder. Do it anyway. Because the person you become depends on the choices you make during those moments. Not during easy moments. During difficult moments. That is where character is built. That is where strength is built. That is where emotional discipline is forged. One decision at a time. One action at a time. One day at a time. And eventually, something incredible happens. You stop depending on motivation. You stop waiting for inspiration. You stop negotiating with yourself. You simply do what needs to be done. That is freedom. That is discipline. That is power. And that is the person you are becoming. Remember, discipline is emotional control in action. Small daily choices shape character. Consistency beats motivation. Act regardless of mood. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Because every time you choose discipline over emotion, you become stronger than you were yesterday. And in the next chapter, we will explore one of the greatest challenges to emotional control, anger. Because once you learn to act despite your emotions, the next step is learning how to master your strongest emotions before they master you. Chapter 10, Master Anger Before It Masters You. Anger is one of the most misunderstood emotions in the world. People think anger makes them powerful. They think anger makes them strong. They think anger helps them take control. But look closely. How many lives have been improved by uncontrolled anger? How many relationships have been strengthened by emotional explosions? How many careers have been built because someone lost their temper? Very few. Because anger promises power. But it usually delivers destruction. And that's the first lesson you must understand. Anger is not the enemy. Being controlled by anger is. There is a difference. A huge difference. Every human being experiences anger. Every leader. Every athlete. Every entrepreneur. Every parent. Every successful person. The difference is not whether they feel anger. The difference is whether anger controls them. That is the key. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Most people never realize this. Someone insults them. They react. Someone criticizes them. They react. Someone disappoints them. They react. Their emotions become the steering wheel of their life. And when emotions drive the vehicle, crashes become inevitable. You see it everywhere. Broken friendships. Damaged marriages. Destroyed opportunities. Years of regret. All because of a few seconds of uncontrolled emotion. A few seconds. Think about that. Years of consequences. Seconds of anger. That is an expensive trade. Far too expensive. The truth is that anger rarely appears alone. Anger often wears a disguise. Underneath anger, there is usually something else. Fear, hurt, embarrassment, insecurity, disappointment, shame. Many people don't want to admit this. They would rather appear angry than vulnerable. They would rather yell than admit they are afraid. They would rather attack than admit they are hurt. But growth begins with honesty. If you want emotional control, you must become honest with yourself. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling? That is not what I am expressing. What am I feeling? There is a difference. Someone ignores your message. You become angry. But maybe underneath that anger is rejection. Someone criticizes your work. You become angry. But maybe underneath that anger is insecurity. Someone challenges your authority. You become angry. But maybe underneath that anger is fear. Fear of losing respect. Fear of looking weak. Fear of not being enough. That is why self-awareness matters. You cannot control what you refuse to understand. You cannot master emotions that remain hidden. That is the key. The next truth may be difficult to hear. Most angry reactions are automatic habits. Not conscious decisions. Habits. Think about it. A person cuts you off in traffic. Instant anger. Someone disagrees with you online. Instant anger. A coworker makes a mistake. Instant anger. The reaction happens so quickly that it feels automatic. Because it is. Your brain has practiced that response for years. Maybe decades. And whatever is practiced becomes stronger. That applies to positive habits. And negative habits. Every angry outburst strengthens the pattern. Every emotional explosion reinforces the behavior. Every reaction trains your mind. Which means every moment of self-control trains your mind too. Remember that. Every moment of restraint is a victory. Every pause is training. Every calm response is progress. You are rewiring yourself. One decision at a time. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful skills you can develop. Delay. Simple. But powerful. Delay your reaction. When anger appears, do not trust your first impulse. Your first impulse is often emotional. Not intelligent. Not strategic. Not useful. Emotional. And emotional decisions often create permanent consequences. A harsh text message. A cruel comment. An impulsive resignation. A damaged relationship. A ruined opportunity. The emotion lasts minutes. The consequences last for years. So learn to delay. Pause. Wait. Breathe. Walk away if necessary. Say less. Not more. Silence can save you from consequences that words create. Many people think pausing is a weakness. It isn't. Pausing is a strength. Anyone can explode. Anyone can lose control. Anyone can yell. Anyone can slam doors. Anyone can retaliate. That requires no discipline. No maturity. No mastery. Real strength is restraint. Real strength is control. Real strength is choosing your response. You have a choice. Always. That is the key. Imagine two people facing the same insult. The first reacts instantly. Yells and argues. Escalates. Creates drama. The second remains calm. Observes. Thinks. Responds deliberately. Who has more power? The second person. Always. Because control is power. Not emotional chaos. Calm is power. Repeat that. Calm is power. Calm is power. Calm is power. The person who controls themselves controls the situation. The person who loses control becomes controlled by the situation. And that difference changes everything. Now consider another important truth. Anger often creates an illusion. It makes you believe retaliation will make you feel better. It rarely does. Think back to your own life. How many times did revenge truly bring peace? How many times did winning the argument create lasting happiness? How many times did proving someone wrong solve your emotional pain? Probably not many. Because retaliation solves very little. Reflection solves much more. Reflection asks different questions. What happened? Why did it affect me? What can I learn? What should I do next? Reflection creates growth. Retaliation creates repetition. Most people repeat the same emotional cycles for years. Same triggers. Same reactions. Same regrets. Different day. Same story. Reflection breaks the cycle. Reflection creates awareness. Awareness creates control. Control creates freedom. That is the path. That is the process. Now let's address another misconception. Some people believe emotional control means suppressing emotions. It doesn't. Suppression is not mastery. Suppression means pretending emotions don't exist. Mastery means acknowledging emotions without becoming them. Feel the anger. Notice the anger. Understand the anger. But do not become angry. That distinction matters. A lot. You can feel anger without acting on it. You can feel frustration. You don't have to live that way. You have a choice. The next time anger appears, remember this. You are standing at a crossroads. One path leads to reaction. The other path leads to a response. One path leads to regret. The other path leads to growth. One path feels easier. The other path makes you stronger. Choose strength. Again and again. Not once. Not twice. Every day. Because emotional control is not a single decision. It is a practice. A daily practice. A lifelong practice. You become calm by practicing calmness. You become disciplined by practicing discipline. You become emotionally strong by practicing emotional strength. No shortcuts. No hacks. No magic solutions. Practice. Consistency. Awareness. Choice. That is the formula. And over time, something remarkable happens. The things that once triggered you lose their power. The comments stop affecting you. The criticism stops controlling you. The opinions of others stop shaking you. Not because life became easier. Because you became stronger. That is emotional mastery. Not controlling the world, controlling yourself. Because the world will always contain difficult people. Unfair situations. Unexpected setbacks. Disappointment. Conflict. That will never change. But your response can change. Your mindset can change. Your habits can change. And when they do, your life changes. Remember, anyone can react. Few people can respond. Anyone can lose control. Few people can stay composed. Anyone can become angry. Few people can remain calm. Be one of the few because calm is power. Calm is confidence. Calm is discipline. Calm is strength. And the person who masters anger becomes dangerous in the best possible way. Focused. Steady. Resilient. Unshakable. That is the goal. That is the standard. That is the challenge. Master anger before it masters you. Because every moment of control is building the person you are becoming. And as you gain control over your emotions, you gain control over your life. Chapter 11, Become the calmest person in the room. Most people think influence comes from speaking louder. It doesn't. Most people think leadership comes from having all the answers. It doesn't. Most people think power comes from force. It doesn't. Real influence comes from emotional stability. Real leadership comes from composure. Real power comes from control. And the person who remains calm when everyone else is losing control immediately becomes different. Immediately. Think about it. Imagine a room filled with panic. People are anxious. Voices are rising. Everyone is reacting. Everyone is emotional. Everyone is making impulsive decisions. Then one person enters the room. Calm. Steady. Focused. Not rushed. Not emotional. Not overwhelmed. Just present. Who immediately captures attention? The calm person. Always. Because calmness stands out. In a noisy world, composure becomes rare. And rare things attract attention. That is the first lesson. Your emotional state affects everyone around you. Whether you realize it or not. Whether you intend it or not. Emotions spread. Stress spreads. Fear spreads. Anger spreads. Panic spreads. But calm spreads too. Confidence spreads. Stability spreads. Strength spreads. People absorb the energy of those around them. That's why emotional control is never just about you. Never. Your emotions influence your family, your coworkers, your friends, your team, your children, your partner, everyone. The question is simple. What are you spreading? Fear or confidence? Chaos or stability? Panic or calmness? You have a choice. That is the key. Many people underestimate the power of their presence. They focus only on words. But words are not the whole story. People feel your energy before they analyze your message. People notice your emotional state before they evaluate your advice. People trust what they observe, not what they hear. You can tell people to remain calm. But if you look stressed, they won't believe you. You can tell people to be confident. But if you appear uncertain, they won't follow you. You can tell people to trust the process. But if you seem panicked, they will doubt the process too. That is why presence matters. Presence is leadership. Presence is influence. Presence is power. The strongest person in the room is often the calmest person in the room. Not the loudest. Not the most aggressive. Not the most emotional. The calmest. Because calmness signals confidence. Calmness signals certainty. Calmness signals control. And people naturally trust those who appear in control. That is human nature. Look at history. Look at great leaders. Look at great athletes. Look at great commanders. Look at great entrepreneurs. When pressure increased, they became calmer. Not more emotional. Calmer. That is why people followed them. Not because they were perfect. Because they were steady. People trust steadiness. People trust consistency. People trust emotional control. That is the key. Now here's something important. Being calm does not mean being passive. Many people confuse the two. They think calm people are weak. They think calm people avoid conflict. They think calm people lack courage. Wrong. Completely wrong. The calmest people are often the strongest because they are acting from choice, not impulse. Anyone can lose control. Anyone can explode. Anyone can react emotionally. That requires no mastery, no discipline, no emotional intelligence. But remaining calm when you have every reason to become angry, that requires strength. Remaining composed when circumstances become difficult, that requires strength. Remaining focused while everyone else is panicking, that requires strength. You have a choice. And strong people choose control. Again and again. Now imagine a ship caught in a storm. Massive waves. Strong winds. Dark skies. Everything feels chaotic. What keeps the ship stable? The anchor. The anchor does not stop the storm. The anchor provides stability during the storm. Remember that because life will always have storms. Difficult people. Unexpected setbacks. Financial pressure. Criticism. Disappointment. Failure. Conflict. The storms are coming. That is part of life. You cannot control every storm. But you can become the anchor. And that changes everything. Be the anchor, not the storm. Repeat it. Be the anchor, not the storm. Be the anchor, not the storm. Be the anchor, not the storm. Most people become part of the chaos. They add more drama, more fear, more confusion, more emotion, more noise. But strong people do something different. They bring clarity. They bring stability. They bring perspective. They bring calm. And that calmness becomes contagious. That calmness becomes leadership. That calmness becomes influence. Think about someone you trust deeply. Someone who makes you feel safe. Someone whose advice carries weight. Someone whose presence lowers your stress. Why do you trust them? Because they remain steady. Because they don't panic. Because they don't create unnecessary drama. Because they stay grounded. People trust calm people. That is the key. Now let's talk about composure. Composure is one of the greatest competitive advantages in life. Yet very few people develop it. Most people train their skills. Few people train their emotional control. Most people train their bodies. Few people train their reactions. Most people focus on external success. Few people focus on internal stability. And that creates opportunity. Because when pressure arrives, emotional control becomes a superpower. Imagine two people with equal talent, equal intelligence, equal opportunities. One remains composed under pressure. The other becomes emotional. Who succeeds? The composed person. Almost every time. Because pressure exposes weaknesses. Pressure reveals habits. Pressure reveals character. Pressure reveals emotional maturity. Anyone can appear confident when life is easy. Anyone can appear strong when everything goes according to plan. But pressure reveals the truth. Pressure exposes reality. And when pressure arrives, composure becomes your advantage. Your hidden advantage. Your unfair advantage. The ability to think clearly while others panic. The ability to stay focused while others become distracted. The ability to remain patient while others become emotional. That advantage compounds over time. Year after year. Decision after decision. Opportunity after opportunity. That is why emotional control matters so much. Now consider this. Many people spend their lives trying to control other people. Trying to control opinions. Trying to control outcomes. Trying to control circumstances. And they become exhausted. Because most things are outside their control. But there is one thing you can always control. Your response. Your attitude. Your behavior. Your mindset. Your composure. That is where your power lives. Not outside you. Inside you. You don't need their permission to remain calm. You don't need their permission to stay focused. You don't need their permission to act with discipline. You don't need their permission to maintain your standards. That is your responsibility. That is your choice. And every time you choose composure, you become stronger. Every time. Small moments matter. A frustrating email. A rude comment. A disappointing result. A stressful conversation. These moments seem small. But they are training opportunities. Opportunities to strengthen emotional control. Opportunities to practice calmness. Opportunities to build resilience. Because emotional strength is built the same way physical strength is built. Repetition. Practice. Consistency. One decision at a time. One response at a time. One challenge at a time. That is how calmness becomes part of your identity. Not something you do. Something you are. And when calmness becomes part of your identity, people notice. They may not always say it. But they notice. They trust you more. Respect you more. I listen to you more because stability is attractive. Not flashy. Not dramatic. Not loud. But powerful. Very powerful. Now ask yourself a simple question. When people leave a conversation with you, what do they feel? More stressed? Or more confident? More anxious? Or more grounded? More confused? Or more focused? Your emotional state influences the answer. That is why this chapter matters. Because becoming the calmest person in the room is not about appearances. It is about impact. It is about influence. It is about leadership. It is about becoming someone others can rely on. Someone others can trust. Someone others can follow. And it begins with mastering yourself. Not the room. Yourself. That is the key. Remember, the loudest person is rarely the strongest. The most emotional person is rarely the most influential. The most reactive person is rarely the most respected. Strength is quiet. Confidence is steady. Power is controlled. And true leadership begins with emotional mastery. So the next time chaos appears, choose differently. The next time pressure rises, choose differently. The next time emotions tempt you to react, choose differently. Be the anchor, not the storm. Again and again. Because every moment of composure strengthens your character. Every moment of control strengthens your influence. Every moment of calmness strengthens your leadership. And eventually, something incredible happens. You stop being controlled by the room. You begin influencing the room. That is transformation. That is emotional mastery. That is power. And in the next chapter, we will take the final step. Because once you become the calmest person in the room, the challenge becomes maintaining that strength every single day. Not occasionally. not when it's convenient. Every day. We will learn how to practice quiet strength daily so emotional control becomes a permanent part of who you are. Chapter 12. Practice quiet strength every day. There is a misconception that keeps many people stuck. A dangerous misconception. People believe strength is loud. They believe strength is dramatic. They believe strength announces itself. It doesn't. Real strength is usually invisible. No audience. No applause. No recognition. Just a person making the right decision when nobody is watching. That is strength. The world celebrates big victories. The promotion. The championship. The business's success. The transformation photo. The public achievement. But very few people see what created those results. The small decisions. The private sacrifices. The daily discipline. The emotional control. The countless moments when someone chose growth instead of comfort. That is where real strength lives. Not in the spotlight. In the shadows. Not in the reward. In the process. Not in the outcome. In the daily choice. That is the key. Many people want extraordinary results. But they refuse to embrace ordinary discipline. They want confidence. But avoid uncomfortable action. They want peace. They refuse to control their emotions. They want success. But resist consistency. It doesn't work that way. Life rewards repetition. Not intention. Not wishes. Not excuses. Repetition. You become what you repeatedly do. Think about that. You become what you repeatedly do. Not occasionally, I do. Not sometimes. Repeatedly do. If you repeatedly react emotionally, emotional reactions become your identity. If you repeatedly choose patience, patience becomes your identity. If you repeatedly choose discipline, discipline becomes your identity. Your habits become your future. That is why quiet strength matters so much. Because quiet strength is built through repetition. Not inspiration. Not motivation. Repetition. Again and again. Strong. Calm. Consistent. Repeat that. Strong. Calm. Consistent. Strong. Calm. Consistent. That is the formula. Not perfection. Consistency. Many people fail because they chase intensity. They become motivated. They make dramatic changes. They promise a new life. A new mindset. A new future. And for a few days, they feel unstoppable. Then reality arrives. Motivation fades. Energy drops. Challenges appear. And they quit. Why? Because they built their progress on emotion. Not discipline. Emotions change. Discipline remains. That is the difference. Strong people do not rely on motivation. They rely on standards. Standards create consistency. Consistency creates results. Results create confidence. Confidence creates momentum. That is how transformation happens. Quietly. Slowly. Daily. You don't need their permission. You don't need anyone's approval to improve your life. You don't need applause to remain disciplined. You don't need recognition to maintain your standards. The strongest people understand this. They work in silence. They grow in silence. They improve in silence. And eventually their results make the noise. That is quite a strength. The ability to continue without external validation. The ability to stay committed when nobody notices. The ability to keep going when nobody is cheering. That is rare. Very rare. Most people need encouragement every day. Most people need praise every day. Most people need proof every day. But emotional maturity means learning to continue even when those things are absent because growth is often invisible. At first, think about planting a seed. You place it in the ground. Then what happens? Nothing visible. Days pass. Nothing visible. Weeks pass. Still nothing visible. But beneath the surface, growth is happening. Roots are forming. Foundations are being built. Preparation is taking place. Then eventually, the results appear. Life works the same way. Your emotional control is developing even when nobody notices. Your discipline is growing even when nobody notices. Your patience is strengthening even when nobody notices. Keep going. That is the key. Many people quit too early. They stop because they cannot see immediate results. But mastery requires patience. Mastery requires trust. Mastery requires repetition. Every calm response matters. Every disciplined action matters. Every controlled reaction matters. Even when nobody sees it. Especially when nobody sees it. Because character is what you do when nobody is watching. Not when people are watching. When nobody is watching. The private moments create the public results. Never forget that. Now let's talk about emotional control. Many people think emotional control means one big breakthrough. One life-changing realization. One powerful moment. Not usually. Most emotional mastery is built through thousands of small moments. Thousands. A frustrating email. A difficult conversation. An unexpected setback. A rude comment. A disappointing result. A stressful day. These moments seem insignificant. But they are training opportunities. Every one of them. Every challenge gives you two options. React. Or respond. You have a choice. Always. You have a choice. That is the key. Every time you choose control, you become stronger. Every time you choose patience, you become stronger. Every time you choose discipline, you become stronger. The change may not be visible immediately. But it is happening. Just like the seed. Roots are forming. Strength is developing. Character is growing. Strong. Calm. Consistent. That is how mastery is built. Now consider this. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a week. And underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years. Why? They focus on dramatic action instead of consistent action. They want instant transformation. Life rarely works that way. Success is usually boring. Discipline is usually boring. Consistency is usually boring. And that is exactly why most people avoid it. They chase excitement. They chase shortcuts. They chase quick results. But mastery belongs to those willing to embrace repetition. Mastery belongs to those willing to do the simple things repeatedly. Mastery belongs to those willing to remain committed after the excitement disappears. That is quite a strength. Showing up when you don't feel like it. Remaining calm when you want to react. Staying disciplined when excuses appear. Continuing when progress feels slow. That is a strength. Real strength. Not dramatic strength. Sustainable strength. The kind that lasts. The kind that transforms lives. The kind that creates extraordinary results. You don't need their permission. Remember that. You don't need permission to become stronger. You don't need permission to become calmer. You don't need permission to raise your standards. You don't need permission to improve your habits. You don't need permission to become the person you are capable of becoming. That responsibility belongs to you. Nobody else. And the moment you accept that responsibility, everything changes. Because responsibility creates power. Excuses create weakness. Strong people accept responsibility. Weak people search for blame. That is the difference. Now imagine your future self. 5 years from now. 10 years from now. Imagine the version of yourself that has mastered emotional control. The version that remains calm under pressure. The version that responds instead of reacts. The version that maintains discipline regardless of circumstances. How does that person get created? Not through one decision. Thousands of decisions. Not through one perfect day. Thousands of ordinary days. Not through one breakthrough. Thousands of repetitions. Strong. Calm. Consistent. Again. Strong. Calm. Consistent. That is the path. There is no secret. There is no shortcut. There is no hidden formula. The formula is simple. Practice. Repeat. Improve. Practice. Repeat. Improve. Day after day. Month after month. Year after year. Until emotional control becomes natural. Until discipline becomes automatic. Until calmness becomes your default response. That is mastery. And when mastery arrives, people often misunderstand it. They see the calmness. But not the years of practice. They see the confidence, but not the years of discipline. They see the composure, but not the thousands of difficult choices. Remember that. Every strong person was once struggling. Every disciplined person was once inconsistent. Every calm person was once reactive. Growth is possible. Transformation is possible. But only for those willing to practice. Daily. Quietly. Consistently. That is your challenge. Not perfection. Practice. Not intensity. Consistency. Not an occasional effort. Daily effort. Strong. Calm. Consistent. Make that your standard. Make that your identity. Make that your commitment, because emotional mastery is not something you achieve once. It is something you practice every day. Every conversation. Every challenge. Every setback. Every opportunity. And over time, those calm decisions compound. Those disciplined actions compound. Those controlled responses compound. Until eventually, you become someone completely different. Not because of one extraordinary moment. Because of thousands of ordinary moments. That is the power of quiet strength. That is the power of consistency. That is the power of emotional control. And now you have reached the final stage of this journey. Because once you understand emotional control, anger management, composure, leadership, and daily discipline, there is only one thing left. Integration. Bringing everything together into a single way of living. In the final closing chapter, we will unite every lesson from this audiobook and create a lasting blueprint for becoming calm, strong, disciplined, and emotionally free for the rest of your life. Conclusion. Take a moment and think about the person you were before this audiobook began. Then think about the person you can become. A person who doesn't panic under pressure. A person who doesn't break when life becomes difficult. A person who doesn't allow temporary emotions to create permanent consequences. Remember, every moment of patience makes you stronger. Every moment of self-control makes you wiser. Every moment of calmness makes you more powerful. The goal is not to eliminate emotions. The goal is to master them. Because emotional control is the foundation of confidence. It is the foundation of discipline. It is the foundation of success. So from this day forward, when challenges appear, stay calm. When fear appears, stay focused. When pressure appears, stay strong. Repeat these words: calm is power. Control is strength. Discipline is freedom. Master your emotions. Master your decisions. Master your life. And if this audiobook has helped you, continue learning, continue practicing, and continue becoming the strongest version of yourself. Stay calm. Stay strong.